So today we talk about one of the key things that everyone who plays World of Tanks console probably knows about, and that is the World of Tanks console update 6.0. So of course this was a massive controversy, and in the background we will basically have some pre-update 6.0 gameplay that you can actually have a look at and see exactly what it's like. If you haven't already, played it yourself, and if you don't already have some screenshot videos and stuff that you've already saved yourself. So this is what it used to look like. Of course, having all of the kind of main features that it used to, and then of course update 6.0 comes along, the game completely redesigns the HUD aspects of the game, and then we have quite a few different changes with regards to the perk systems, the commander systems. We had loads of new graphical improvements in quotation marks, and basically a lot of the player base kind of left. So I guess what I'm trying to make this video on is just comparing the two, the pre-update 6.0 and today's game that you can actually launch right now. Now, what is my personal opinion on the update 6.0 and what actually happened during this kind of time period? Of course, with the launch being so bad, basically. It wasn't a great launch to update 6.0, loads and loads of bugs and things that just were completely wrong with the game, and I think it took them way too long to actually fix them, put them into the game and make them right before, players could actually come back and play the game that they actually enjoyed for a long time. So I think the initial launch really suffered or caused some negativity towards it in total, and I think there are some good aspects of the update. I know that that's controversial, but there are some good aspects. The graphical improvements are definitely an improvement. I'm not talking about the HUD. Do I think that the HUD looks better now or before? I think I've just got used to it. So did I think it is 100% better? Probably not. I don't think I really care too much about the HUD, but of course for a lot of you that was a big sticking point as to whether or not you actually enjoy the game right now, and I think it's definitely made it slightly harder to understand with regards to what's damaged in your tank, and certainly on release it was super difficult to understand what was actually damaged on your tank, and I think that that's something that you guys kind of noted down and you guys knew all about that, and I think that hopefully, we never have those kind of updates come into World of Tanks console anytime soon. Now, moving on to something a bit more substantial, of course, the commander system changes. What actually happened after update 6.0 and what happened before? Well, if you've joined World of Tanks console since this whole big update last year in December, what happened is the commander system that it currently is right now got changed from a system whereby you could have like 20 something perks, I think it was, all on one tank or crew skills, whatever you want to call them. Basically you could have like 20. Now they're limited to 9, no matter whether you had 20 something before or whether you had 2 before. And now you can get 9. It takes a long time to get to your 9 perks as well, but for those of you who did grind out tons and tons of tanks before, you tended to actually get quite a lot of 9 skill crews because they kind of refunded you. But what it did do is, for all of those people that spent time and money, don't forget, to be able to max out their crews previously to update 6.0, yeah, they were kind of very much annoyed by that because, of course, you spend money thinking that it's going to stay that way forever, and then suddenly they change it and you've just spent, £100 trying to get your crew maxed out or whatever you've decided. That's not me personally. I didn't spend any money on converting free XP into crew XP, but for those of you who did, of course that is going to be a big negative, and I think the system as it stands right now, I think it is, I don't know if it's better, I don't know if it's worse. I think it's kind of just one of those things whereby if you play the game now, it's just an add-on, I guess. It doesn't really do much. I mean, in terms of like changing them, I think a lot of the perks past the 9 skill mark were pretty useless anyway. So you had things like swimming lessons, stuff like that, where they were so situational that having them on your tank didn't really make a difference. So yeah, I guess it kind of made the perk slots a little bit more competitive, which means, you can't just have all of the perks. You're now having to pick the ones that you think will be best for the tank. And I guess in terms of Wargaming's monetization, now you have to train up multiple crews if you want to be putting your tank into the optimal setup, because of course each tank used to be able, you could switch your tank crew basically before to whichever tank that you decided to play in. Of course, it used to cost you gold or whatever it was. I think it might have been like 10 gold to swap between the tanks or something. Now, of course, you can do it for free as long as they're in the same nation, or at least for 9,000 silver, which is absolutely nothing. For those of you who play the game, at least, you can play one premium tank game and then be able to do that 10 times. So, yeah, very, very easy to swap your crews around. Not in terms of the actual process of swapping your crews around, but definitely like a good aspect in terms of, it doesn't cost a lot, but there is that kind of thing where now the perks are more competitive, so you have to pick ones that are specific to your vehicle or that will basically suit your vehicle better, which also now means that you have to have multiple crews, or you have to pay the gold price to swap out the perks on that 9 skill crew to best suit the vehicle that you'll be playing. So no longer can you just have one crew for one nation, you now have to have multiple crews for one nation, or at least multiple crews for one tank class. So yeah, probably a way what Wargaming were trying to monetize the game further other than what it was previously. I expect that has something to do with it, other than the fact that it makes the kind of setups and builds a little bit more competitive, and you have to actually pick the perks that best suit your tank, and you can't just have all of them. Also means new players kind of have less of a disadvantage to begin with, because they're not coming up against people that have played 60,000 battles and have every single skill in the game on their tank, and then it's going to take them 20k battles to even get the same crew. Instead, now it takes less time, so I guess that's kind of a good option for Wargaming in terms of trying to help out the new player. But then on the flip side, they make the new player experience worse by removing a lot of the tutorial aspects of the game. And so yeah, it's not a very good kind of incentive for new players, I don't think, because there are just these negatives that Wargaming also implement when they actually make the game when they do these changes. Because not only do they have that, they also change some of the key HUD elements, which I guess a lot of the older players don't like, and also some of the newer players just thought it was less, yes, it looks slightly visually appealing compared to the old model, I guess, if you didn't have the nostalgia factor and you were a new player. So yeah, I kind of get it from that kind of point of view. But there are a lot of things that kind of hindered the new player experience. So yeah, you do one thing to try and help out the new players, but then on the other hand, you then make it worse in a lot of occasions. So do I think, this update was perfect? Absolutely not. Do I think some of the good things came out of it? Yeah, of course. I think some of the graphical changes were good. It did take a little bit of getting used to, and of course when they fixed the colorblind mode, because yeah, implement a game that used to have colorblind mode, then change it, then don't add colorblind mode to begin with, of course that's going to cause some problems. Why would you not just make all of the modes available for colorblind, and then you wouldn't have the problem of people being visually impaired and trying to play your game and finding it very, very hard. So that was another reason why the update 6.0 was just negative. There's a lot of things that regard that, and I think that kind of the release of it being untested, or at least if they did test it, they didn't test it completely correctly. Yeah, I just don't think that was a good choice by Wargaming themselves. And of course, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and we'll get a bit of a discussion going. What do you think can still be improved? Because there are plenty of things that could be improved further. And yeah, I think that's something that we need to kind of talk about. What kind of things overall can we improve? Because yeah, I'm kind of trying to get a little bit more in contact with Wargaming to try and sort out some of the problems. Of course, I'm trying to become a community contributor, if that makes sense. So I think it's best if I actually be honest. I bring in every single piece of like information you give me. Of course, constructive feedback is always the best, because if we're just complaining about certain things in a brash way, Wargaming are probably not going to listen. But if we make actual constructive criticism, give them ideas as to what things are just not working whatsoever, and trust me, there are loads of things within World of Tanks that are just terrible. There's a lot of bad decisions made by Wargaming, but then there are some good decisions, so I think we need to be even if we're talking about some bad decisions, of course we need to talk about the good decisions. And yes, are there like as many good decisions? I don't know. Personally, I find the game kind of okay to play at the minute. I think a lot of the bad kind of vibes that Update 6.0 gave at the original release have kind of been worked out a little bit. Of course, the gameplay kind of changed significantly on release, and there was this massive problem with spotting people. You couldn't actually see them. If they went behind a hill and they were actually spotted, they'd go like the HUD element would be removed. So yes, they were spotted on the minimap, but they weren't visually able to see them. Of course, they were still rendered into the game, but they weren't actually highlighted in your HUD. So yeah, what a silly system that was. And it meant that, if you were going around a corner, you wouldn't know if the person was aiming at you or aiming at someone else, and that just was really, really bad, in my opinion. And so I'm really, really glad that Wargaming are kind of working towards fixing all of these things, but also they need to be mindful that, they do not need to actually fix some of the gameplay stuff. The gun barrel raising took far too long for them to actually fix, and same as the consumables bump glitch, when it resupplied for the 60 seconds or whatever it was, it would then bump your gun barrel into the center of the screen. That was absolutely outrageous how long that actually lasted. That was 6 months of that happening before they actually patched it. Yeah, we got 3D commanders, which no one ever actually asked for, to be honest with you. And yeah, when they sell them for 4,000 gold, of course it's going to be one of those things that everyone just laughs at and thinks like, what on earth? We didn't get some actual core gameplay fixes, but instead we got some awful looking like 90s 3D commanders. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they were that popular, and I certainly don't think very many people are going out of their way to purchase them. Definitely with the removal of the crew customization, which came with Update 6.0, of course, another thing that Wargaming decided that was apparently a good idea to do, or that they just weren't going to develop. Yeah, what a silly system that was. Remove the crew customization, so no longer can you change the crew voice of your commanders. So before, you used to be able to change it to all sorts of crew voices. So you had Mexican, you had Italian, you could have Russian, whatever you fancied, basically, on whatever your crew was before, and then you could change what the picture was. You had all of these different sort of things that you could actually do, and of course you could change the name of your crew. It just was an extra aspect that actually was quite good. Whether it was, necessarily needed for the gameplay, of course not. You don't need to. It doesn't give you any benefit to actually swap any of that stuff, but it was one of those things that was just a quality of life, and of course people enjoy that sort of stuff. But implementing in 3D commanders, no, not really. What's the point? They're not customization heavy or whatever. And I think Wargaming have realised that they are looking at actually implementing in the crew customization again. So for those of you who didn't know about that, that's something I think that, yeah, it will be good eventually. And I'm just hoping that what happens with console is that they do start to actually make these quality of life updates, because I think a lot of the player base don't stick around because the quality of life updates that we get are just so far and few between, and that it just monetization, whack in a $300 bundle, whack in another $300 bundle, whack in a $90 bundle that's just not worth it. We'll add in bundles that just basically have these silly kind of price tags, and that hopefully eventually 1 out of 200 people might actually buy this bundle. And yeah, it's just crazy, absolutely crazy, kind of feeding off the whales, I guess. yeah, I don't know, I don't quite know what Wargaming were thinking with those bundles, and of course if you wanted to actually have a look at what I'm talking about with these bundle pricing, then you can have a look at one of the previous videos that will be linked at the end of this one. So yeah, very, very, very debatable, some of those pricing, but of course you probably already know that if you play the game. Now, as far as some extra things, of course we have some of the tanks that got released after update 6.0, some of the premium tank basically giveaways that kind of came out with these new seasons. Of course we get a season pass now, and the new season will be next Tuesday, so that is the 29th of June. That is the next season release. I've tried to convey that in as many messages in my comment section on the previous videos on Update News. The next season is the 29th of June, so stay tuned for G.I. Joe, of course, being the next season a toy. G.I. Joe season are definitely what the average age of the World of Tanks community is. Yeah, I mean, on this channel, I think the average age is, I think, 35 to 45, something like that. That's the highest percentage of viewers. And then it's like the 25 to 35, and then I think it's actually the 45 to 65 age, and then it's the 18 to 25 or something like that. So yeah, it's like they're marking it towards children, but the actual people playing the game and watching the game and interacting with the game are actually age 35 plus. So I don't know why G.I. Joe was their decision to actually link with them, but I guess it gives us new content, so maybe it's interesting. I don't know. I would have thought that they'd have tried to go with a bit more of a mature audience for the game at least. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think of Update 6.0? What do you think of all of the various different changes that came with that new update and the recent updates? Do you think it has got better? Do you think it's got worse? Have you stopped playing since Update 6.0? Or just let's have a discussion. What do you actually think? Because me personally, I think it's got a lot better. Is it better than before Update 6.0? I don't think you can really compare them too much. I just think that they're kind of two different games now. And I think, yeah, as far as traditional World of Tanks, this game is so far apart now that you can't really compare them. But hopefully you did enjoy this video. Hopefully you did enjoy the gameplay in the background. And I hope that you'll come back and watch some more videos. Of course, there's some videos on screen right now featuring the latest update news, what we know about the next season, and also some of the other things associated with World of Tanks. You know, the videos on gameplay and all of the various different tanks within the game are all on this channel. So if you do like that and you aren't subscribed already, then subscribe in the comment section down below. And of course, if you want to see more gameplay that isn't just console and it's PC, then I will have my second channel linked in the comments section down below that you can actually go and have a look at, and also in the description of this video. So if you want more World of Tanks content from me, then you can have a look at that channel. I think we're on like 56 subscribers on that channel. So hopefully you do enjoy these videos. If you do, hit that like button, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.